Hello, hello, hello. Only have a handful of people on this channel. What? I got 18 now. Eventually, everybody's gonna find me over here. I promise not to talk about politics and entertainment on the on Mama Flip Slots channel. That's the agreement I have with Grandma Flip. So as a result, I'm keeping to my promise. Oh no, I just got a message. I don't know what the message was. Give me one second, I'll be right back. I don't know what the message was, so let me just check out before. Be right back. Oh, stop. Give us a second. Yeah, I'm back. Sorry about that. So I make sure everything was okay. Gotta check my email, make sure that I'm not doing anything that YouTube say I'm not supposed to do. Anyway, can we talk about freedom of speech right now? Can we get to the point where we could talk about it? Anyway, I promised Grandma Flip that I wouldn't be doing any entertainment political on YouTube, on the Mama Flip Side channel. So we have Mama Flip Live. That is where we talk about my opinion and different things that's going on and stuff like that. So now that I think everything has been laid to rest right now, I think now we can have another conversation about freedom of speech. This is my thought. If there's something else that I'm missing, then I will make this video private again and we'll bring it up again after everything is done. It's my understanding everything is done. You know, God bless, rest in peace. And I think it's time that we have a conversation about everything that happened. So I mentioned briefly, and I'm going to mention again, is that I did a I did a post on CK in which I mentioned that, and it was nothing derogatory at all. Because I think if I said something derogatory, I think the MAGA community would have like came after me, especially on posts. Because I put it everywhere. They would have came after me on posts. A lot of people would have had a drama with me. Nobody did have drama with me. Go ahead, sir. Because you're looking for Cocoa Puffs, so don't hit the old man. Um, my whole thing about that conversation was I didn't want to touch on CK previous comment or who he was as a person because as a fellow survivor who actually lost two of my nephew as a result of GV violence, I did not. Sorry, to me, I have to show respect no matter what when a person is unalive due to GV violence, pew pew violence. I have to. It's almost like being a veteran. When I was fighting for pew pew GV prevention in the various communities, there was a lot of veterans that came after me. They came after me hard for many years, especially pro pew pew veterans. They lost their damn mind. They did a lot of research on me. They tried to prove that I wasn't a Marine veteran, and then when they proved, they thought that I left the Marine as a result of medical issues. They went in. They couldn't understand how a black female woman Marine who happened to serve during the war, and I'm not a combat vet. So at the end of the day, they tried to make it a big deal that I wasn't a combat vet, but the previous war we were in, right, was a much shorter 3 months situation than the other war, which is the Iraq Afghanistan, which was like many years. So our war, our previous war, Desert Storm, was a smaller war. So that's the reason why everybody didn't get a chance to go down there, because of the fact that by the time I was scheduled to be on the flight, it was over. So I never said I was a combat vet. I said I'm a Marine Corps vet, serving during time. So that's the biggest thing that they had. But other than that, everything else about me they had an issue with. Not because I was a veteran, not because they felt that as a Marine veteran, female who didn't serve overseas, and most of us did not serve overseas during Desert Storm, I didn't have anything to say. I should have anything to say about pro pew pew, which I think was absolutely ridiculous because I did handle pew pew on a consistent basis, even during the time I served in the United States. And not only that, I'm very prolific in it and using it to the point where um, my title is a sharp. I was a few points away from expert. I think it was about 3 points away from expert, but I eventually landed on sharp. So I'm pretty proficient, and I was very good at dismantling and putting it together and knowing. And also, I live in a community where pew pew prevalence. Also, I've prevented several people from being unalive as a result of pew pew. Also, I lost 2 nephews for pew pew. So it was just a very silly argument to have to say that I, as a female Marine who lives in urban cities, who actually had pew pew impacted mine for many years, shouldn't speak on the subject of pew pew. It was just silly. So anyway, I say this. So pro gunners, I'm sorry, pro pew pew, uh, always had something to say when people come out and talk about just making sure that only legal people have pew pew, because that's the thing. Especially when it came to me, I never took the stance that pew pew should be removed completely from society. I never said that. It was never really my stance, because I don't think it's you can't really tell people what to do. I've always said that. So, but I also said that I didn't want pew pew in my house, right? And my son, uh, Teddy, Chef Teddy, that's what he wants to know by in social media. Chef Teddy was a correction officer, and he wanted to have a pew pew in the house, and I said no. I did not want to have people in the house. It was just too much, like too many children in the house. It was just too much stuff going on. So I did not want to have the people in my house. So that's what happened with us. But personally, I didn't want to have people in the house. But that doesn't mean that I advocated to take pew pew rights from anybody. That was just not my thing. So, so I know. I say this. I know what it's like to be controversial, and when you speak on subject matter, and there is a direct um, negative impact on what you speak on. So that's what happened to me. So I did a post on CK, and again, I didn't touch on anything negative on CK because, again, as a fellow survivor, I'm not. I'm just not going to do that. I'm just not. Right? There's a lot of people who said it, but I didn't do it. So what I ended up doing was I realized that CK and I, prior to him being alive, had something in common, and both of us were looking to support GV, not GV, survivors. Now, I also am very interested, or have worked or advocated and worked for many years for survivors of not only GV, which is pew violence, but survivors also of SA, DV. That's part of the work that I do in real life, right? I mean, I have a regular job, but I have my advocacy has been touched on everything. Veteran, it started with veteran SA and veteran grade back in the military. I've worked with several veterans, or supported several veterans who were great during the military. So it was a lot, right? So it was interesting to me after, because I didn't know who CK was. I really didn't. I mean, to me, there's been so many people who have said derogatory, diverse. I mean, not diverse, derogatory and disrespectful stuff about black and brown people that it's not my thing to actually pay attention to everything that these people says, to be honest with you, because I'm living regular life. I already have my interests. I'm not interested. I don't like it, but my interest has never been to battle, except if I do one or two tweets about it, to actually battle or take my time to find out everybody who I believe is disrespecting black and brown people, who actually have this supremacist mentality when it comes to stuff like that. It just wasn't my fight. It was other people's fight, but it wasn't mine. So I didn't know this CK until after really know about him. I think I probably seen one or two clips about him, because I think I was more interested in Marjorie Taylor Greene, her part, because she was in Congress and stuff like that. And I heard about Laura L. Because she was going off on your boy DT. And then after that, maybe Meg K. I interested in Meg K, because he really went after her first in 2016, after she questioned him during the debate, and he attacked her. And I found it very interesting that after, and not in a good way. So sometimes when I say very interesting, I'm being very sarcastic when I use those words. I found it very interesting after he tore into her to the point where her boss had to reach out to the campaign and told DT, you need to chill and leave her alone, because we're not having none of that. Respect to her, her network at the time that she was working. You know, they really had her back. I think they eventually let her go, I think. But anyway, I felt it was respectful that she stood on business and asked him questions, even though he didn't like it. And she got really reamed from him because of that. Now, for her to turn around now and act like that never happened, and that she is his biggest fan, is to me one of the biggest political hypocrisy I've seen in my lifetime. I've never seen anybody like that. Hi, get up, please. Get it, please. Thank you so much. Thanks so much. Thank you, Mama. Take care. Be safe. I thought that was the biggest hypocrisy in life, when old girl did that. Like, you couldn't tell me anything when I see her now talking positive and supporting him and everything. Right now, she's shifting a little bit again because of freedom of speech. But when Meg came back out and started being his biggest supporter after he tore into her like it was, DT lost his mind, saying that she had liquids coming out everywhere. I was like, it's the small. I gotta give it to people. People have tendencies of, you got to give it to people. People have short-term memories that is so convenient. It's crazy. So anyway, so I was interested in Meg because the shift that she made after he disrespected her on national TV was interesting to me. So Meg, I knew about Meg. I knew about Laura. I knew about Nick L. I can't mention his name because I got in trouble on another on Tickety Talk. They gave me a strike. I think his name is the one that gave me a strike. So I can't name his full name because I don't know if I can name him here. I heard about him prior before I heard about CK, because he did something. I forgot. I think he did something with women. So I saw about. But at the end of the day, I didn't know none of them except briefly when it's connected to politics. That's it. I didn't know about their social issues with black and brown bodies, because I was mostly interested in people that was impacting politics, like directly disrespecting Kamala, Biden, etc., etc. So I didn't know the young man. Um, So when he was alive, now I'm interested to find out what the hell is going on, what happened. And the reason why I became interested, even after he was alive, is because there was a lot of people very angry, yelling on social media, carry on, screaming, crying, pulling hair, and cursing us out. And I'm like, yo, what the hell? Because they were talking about left, they were talking about left and progressive, right? And I get it. I mean, left and progressive, we've gotten angry on the George Floyd. Again, George Floyd is black and brown. So anyway, I'm about to go in. Whenever I start thinking, I start going in. So anyway, I started seeing people going hysterical. Obviously, it's a tragedy, period. Nobody needs to talk about the tragedy of taking somebody out. Again, that's what I do in real life. Nobody deserves, I don't care who you are, unless you do something very, very evil. And I say evil like a serial or someone who really hurt, like underage, like babies. I don't want to hear you taking anybody out for nothing. I just don't want to hear it. Even when it comes to self-defense, I don't agree with taking somebody out unless you're in imminent danger, which is a problem I have with officers. You understand what I'm saying? So I've always taken that stance, right? So I don't care. Nobody needs to tell me anything about why the justification. I get why people are frustrated with CK and what he said, and they talk about irony and stuff like that. But I don't want to hear none of that because nobody should be taken out. I've always took that stand. Take that stand today. So I was really curious about why everybody was going crazy, and then people were saying that, oh, they were coming after the leftists and they were coming after the progressive. Now the leftist progressives have a huge body of people, right? You have white tea. A lot of white tea people are progressive, and a lot of white tea people are fighting right now and angry as a result of a huge situation that's happening with two big dictator type. One, people say yes, definitely a dictator. The other one is dictator light. They're causing a lot of wars out there, right? And that a lot of people have something to say. To the point, in one particular situation, when the American government supported one country, it really devastated a whole group of young progressive people, and they started losing their damn mind. And as a result of them losing their damn mind, in my opinion, because you have a right to support and be angry at what happened to a country, but in my opinion, you don't have a right to equate a Democratic candidate with a MAGA candidate, and now we're here. That's just my opinion. I'm just gonna slide that in. They were so angry about what happened to the other country, they didn't really care about what was going to happen to America, and we are here. But to each his own. Everybody have to decide what they're doing. So I know progressive are YT, young people and stuff like that. But when the anger was being shown, at least on social media, it was geared, in my opinion, to black and brown people. And people can't come back and try to reach it, because people gonna come back and try to write history and say, oh, it's not because of black and brown people, it's progressive. No, it was black and brown people, because black and brown people was the one that was feeling the heat. And we were like, yo, and I was like, why are they attacking black and brown people? Like, we have nothing to do with this. Prior, even before finding out who the actual person was, I already knew, and I know I repeated this several times, I already knew that there's no way it could have been a black and brown person. And the reason why I'm focused and said that they were attacking black and brown people, because you normally attack black and brown people when you talk about leftist and progressive. And there were several people that was giving negative energy to black and brown. There's several videos that all of a sudden people are over here talking, twisting their mouth in certain ways, disrespecting. We had the HBCU colleges being threatened. There was a lot of stuff that indicated to me that as soon as CK was unalive, people were blaming black and brown people. So people can't rewrite history and say, "Oh, you got it wrong." No, I was watching. I was like, "Yo," because that's the only reason why I paid attention. I'm like, "Why are you attacking black and brown people? We had nothing to do with it. Nothing to do with it." Reason why I knew is because it was in a YT state, in a YT college, right? And I knew if it was a black and brown person that did anything like that, they would have found the person easily. Because you can't have a whole sea of white tea, and then all of a sudden you have one dark speck and nobody realized the dark speck is around. That's ridiculous to me. So I already knew it was something that it wasn't going to be one of us. So I'm like, okay, why is people so angry? So that's how I started watching and listening to about CK, and then I saw all the controversial things CK said. But again, I didn't want to talk about that because as a fellow survivor, I'm not going to do it. I'm just not going to do it. Other people did it, respect, but not me. So I found out that we were interested in one thing prior to CK was being on the live, was releasing the files, the Epstein files. So that's what I wanted to talk about. I was like, wow, I didn't know this guy. I probably didn't, wouldn't have liked him anyway because he said a lot of bad things about people like me, you know. But I noticed that he was going after the Epstein file, and I played clips of him saying we need to release the Epstein files. That's all the clips I played, and I said, MAGA community, you guys need to find out what happened to him. I said, because it looked like it's a professional. You need to find out what happened to him, right? So, anyway, that's the clip that I played. I said, don't blame us. We didn't do anything. You guys are getting angry at the wrong group. Find out what happened. So, as a result of that, now one of the casinos that we work with decided that my freedom of speech didn't mean anything, and they decided to act negatively, right? So now with that said, now I was really surprised with their reaction, because I'm like, I know there was a lot of people that was being fired and canceled as a result of plain CK words negatively and implying directly, not even implying, saying directly that as a result of his word and his behavior, right? That's what caused what happened. And I did the opposite. I'm like, I said, he's been acting this way since he was 18 and nothing happened to him. Nothing happened to him. From 18 to 31, nothing happened to him. And all of a sudden, when he started talking about releasing the Epstein file, now that something happened to him, we need to find out the truth. That's what I said. We need to find out the truth. I don't think I directly implied that the Epstein file had anything to do with it, but I said that there's so many things going on with him. But the implication could have been there, and I'm not sorry I said it, because the implication is there. A lot of people talk about conspiracies and stuff like that, and et cetera, et cetera. We've been talking conspiracies. The MAGA community been talking conspiracies forever. But like, this is the thing that MAGA go through. Like, MAGA is into all type of conspiracies. What's going on? How things happen? So yeah. So I said that, and nobody else was upset with anything I said. The only person who was upset is one who wish I thought was a liberal, a casino, which find out that they're not so liberal after all, right? So now everything, I waited. I took down the videos and stuff like that. I said, okay, I'm gonna chill. And now that we are post the service, I want to talk about what are we going to do about the First Amendment, freedom of speech. That's what I want to know. I want to know if freedom of speech is under attack, what's going to happen now, right? So I started it, since I had a negative impact on something I post. It became now an interesting discussion, right? Like, to me, like, okay, so people can't post, talk about it, do anything, right? Because a certain group of people feel a certain way. Okay. Now, the left has been also known, because somebody came on my page. Oh, God, I hate when I forget. What is this guy's name? I can't remember his name. Forget it. On Tickety Talk, and he said, did you ever think that, because he was definitely, I think he said he's not MAGA, but I think he said he's a Republican. He said, don't you think that now that MAGA is using this opportunity to get revenge on the left for what they did? I'm like, maybe. And I said, I'm not even fighting that. I said, maybe, because you can't tell somebody how to fight when they feel disrespected, right? So the cancer, because I was talking to him about the cancer culture, not the freedom of speech, because I think the freedom of speech is too much of a high bar to be playing with. But I said, if somebody want to use the cancer culture to cancel people out because of what they said, they can, because that's what everybody saying the left was doing when it came to George Floyd, right? The left was canceling people out, and when the people was being canceled because they were ripping out people pictures that were missing and unlike. It's crazy. It's crazy that last summer it was insane, the stuff that people was doing, right? So they said, don't you think that it's the mega right is getting a revenge by doing that? I'm like, I said I'm gonna leave it there with the cancel culture, because I'm not even gonna fight the cancel culture, because the thing is that even though people is, to me, is a difference only in the sense that people was using CK on own words to say, hey, this is what CK said, whereas in the other cases, people was actually making fun of the person appearance, of the person, you know, lying on the person as a result of what caused his life. They were just they were just messing up what happened, whereas an officer actually did that to George Floyd, and they were just saying all kind of things, heart attack. They were saying he was a thief, he was a this, he was a, they were just saying that that's what was making a lot of people triggered back with George Floyd. And as far as the big fight that's happening on the other side of the country with one dictator like doing horrific things to another country, and then people are not recognizing that both, I mean, that there were atrocities done on by by people to other people. That was, to me, that was insane. I can't, I don't even want to argue about this, because so when people was using the cancel culture as a result of that, that was like, I was like, wow, this is what they do. But it's not I'm not part of either one of their nationality. I'm a black woman in Brooklyn, so I'm not even going to take up the fight. I talked about it at the time. There were certain things that was done in New York that I didn't like. I talked on both. I talked about both, and that's it. Both. I'm not doing this. So when they talk about this guy, was like, okay, so the MAGA's using the cancel culture just like the left uses the cancel culture. I left it alone. I said, okay, granted, if that's what it's going to be, let it be, because you can't tell somebody how to deal with disrespect. But the freedom of speech is a bigger thing. Is a bigger problem. You have Brandon Carr, who as a result of not, and then they can't say it's implied. They can't say it was because of viewership. They can't say nothing. They came out because DT was upset, and Brandon Carr was upset because Jimmy Kimmel said something about Trump. Uh, they asked Trump a question about CK. He answered a little bit, and then he said, look at the ballroom is being completed. He was joking about that. All of a sudden he gets canceled 2 days. He gets suspended 2 or 3 days later. People are pissed. People are upset, right? Because this guy didn't do anything wrong. He's a comedian. He didn't even talk on CK. Like other people, at least like me, even though I didn't do anything derogatory, I was just saying that we had something in common. We want to support, we want to find out what happened with the survivors and support survivors. We want to, because that's what I do in real life. We need to find out what happened to him so we can find out what's going on. Is it, what's going on? Why now, right? But with him, he didn't even say anything about CK. He talked about Trump. You know what I'm saying? He did say about a group of people. I guess that's what triggered people, because I said similar, that Mega is blaming the wrong group. He did say that. So I guess people don't like people saying that Mega's blaming the wrong group when Mega's blaming the wrong group. People, you know what I'm saying? So anyway, so I guess maybe that's what got him in trouble. But either way, he didn't say anything derogatory about CK, and now he got suspended. Benjamin Carr not only asked for the suspension, when people responded, he shared an office meme when they were doing like this, which is crazy to me. And then when somebody asked him a direct thing, is this Project 2025? He sent a video of Jack Nicholson in the movie when Jack Nicholson was Cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. In that movie, I can't remember the movie name. I'm just tired. Y'all can look it up. Anyway, it's a meme with Jack Nicholson when he was Cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, smiling and doing like this. All right? And it was a scary movie at one time, Stephen King movie, and I can't remember what it is. They were in a hotel. He and the lady, I can't remember her name, she played Wendy, I think it's Wendy of Popeye, with Robin Williams, and her played Popeye. And she played the film, and then she played there with the little boy in a scary hotel. Anyway, y'all can figure it out. So, anyway, he used that meme to indicate, yes. So that means that he is all in, like trying to get rid of the freedom of speech. So that's him. Then I started paying attention to Candace. I hope I can say her name. Candace O, Candy O. I call her Candy O now on TikTok because I don't want to get in trouble because she was another one that I hashtag on TikTok and I got a strike. So I don't think it's her. I think it's Nick F. Did I say Nick L? I mean Nick F. I think it was Nick F that got me in trouble with my hashtag on TikTok. But I think, but I don't know if it's him or her. So anyway, she started coming out because she wants to know what happened to her friend, and she said, "I'm not gonna stop until I find out what happened to my friend." Right, that's her. And then yesterday, I was watching. Was it yesterday? Yeah, yesterday. I was watching to see what was going to be the fallout because I want to see what the fallout is with her talking. Because at the end of the day, freedom of speech is under attack. So since freedom of speech is under attack, I need to know myself which side is Mega going to take up. And I said, this is not my first time, it's not my second time, not my third time, my fourth time. I'm going to be talking about this consistently because of what happened to me. And because of what happened to me, I'm now in this fight. And this is crazy because I didn't intend to be in the First Amendment fight, right? So now I'm in the First Amendment fight, right? So I'm going to continue to talk about this until I see how it works out. And I heard that somebody's going to the Supreme Court. So I can't wait until somebody submit a suit to the Supreme Court to see which side the Supreme Court stand on. Because it was our understanding the Supreme Court 9-0 stand for freedom of speech. But you never know when it comes to the Supreme Court. They're so wishy washy and they'll do anything that DT wants. So they may change their stance on freedom of speech. But the interesting thing is that yesterday I was going there to see what MAGA had to say about freedom of speech. If anybody was taking any stance on it besides Candace Owen, because Candace says not only her, but it's also Meg that's also taking a stance. And she said Tuck is also taking a stance. So I want to see if anybody Hey, sorry about that. Um, sorry, the phone got hot. So then I went to on Twitter yesterday, not Twitter, on YouTube, and I saw this guy, and his name. Hold on one second. Hey, sorry about that. So yeah, so I saw this guy, this MAGA guy. I have his photo and stuff like that. I'll post his channel name. Um, I don't know if it's Ring TV, Ring TV, or Ringo TV. Anyway, where I saw him, and he started talking about Candy O, and the fight that she's fighting for First Amendment. And he said that he didn't think what was happening to her was right, what was going on with her. And I found it interesting. I had to leave his channel because he started talking about COVID and all this misstatement about people going for Cocoa Puffs unaliving as a result of the vaccine. So I couldn't stay on his live. I had to leave. But what he said initially about the First Amendment, I found very interesting. And I said, okay, so that's the second voice for the MAGA community about supporting the First Amendment and not allowing anything to happen. And both he and Candy O, they both said the same thing, that CK wouldn't have wanted his memory, his name to be used to kill the First Amendment because he's not us, meaning right and progressive. Because they always like to throw shade at right, progressive, Democrat. So he said that there's no way that CK would have want this to happen to go down this way. So I found it interesting. So now you have Candy O, you have Candy O, you have Meg, you have Tuck, you have this guy right here who's a huge mega because he actually is black and he's wearing his mega hat. God help us all. And you have Ted C. You have a bunch of people coming out now talking about the First Amendment and the fact, talking about the freedom of speech as being horribly harmed and should not be done for CK. I myself also believe that, but I just want to see where we're going to go from here. What is going to happen? Like, what is the continuous conversation? Like, can we now talk about freedom of speech? Um, what is going to happen about freedom of speech? Are we collectively, everyone, mega Democrat, progressive, left, center, Dem, Republican, are we going to allow the government and other organizations, not only the government, but other organizations, to tell you what you can and cannot say and punish you? Now, I know that you have now the head Pam B talking about people shouldn't have their jobs, etc., 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 etc. They should be fired. Everything should be taken if they talk about certain things. That I mean, like even when MLK, the Kennedys, all of them, Malcolm X, even in that case, you didn't have that, and now we're here. So I want to know: can we start now? Now that everything has been laid to rest, now um, um, again, rest in peace and everything like that. The family, but because I don't want to say too much about that, because I don't want to be, accused of being disrespectful intentionally when I'm not. So now that we are after, can we now talk about what are we going to do about the First Amendment? That's what I want to know. Who's going to fight for it? Who's going to call people out? Organizations, the government, about trying it, because I said it several times on a particularly talk live. There's an old saying, they come for you, they come for you first, they come for them first, and then they come for you second. There's an old saying. They used to say it back in World War II, but it's permanent now with everything. They're gonna further. Well, talk about that with the immigration issue. They talk about it all the time. But the fact is that if they start taking, I think MAGA is beginning to become aware of it. Is that once they start trying to take away the First Amendment right of progressive, right, Democrats, then they're going to start taking away your rights, because we now have, and I need to see how far Candy O is going to go. You now have a prominent mega personality and maybe a smaller mega personality and other right wing personalities that's in the media that's now bringing focus to a problem that we all going to have if they remove freedom of speech, because it's not going to only impact the Dems or the progressives. It's not. Especially if Candy O continue to talk about she wants to find out what happened to her friend. She is going to be in some trouble. And now Everybody needs to figure out which side they stand on. All right. So anyway, later. Thank you. Sorry for the phone getting hot, etc., etc. Take care of yourselves. Okay, we'll talk more. We'll continue to talk about it. All right. Bye.